Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, NASCAR Cup Series, Hollywood Casino 400 from Kansas on Sunday. Tomorrow we have practice and qualifying. 400.5 miles, 267 laps, 3 stages, 80, 85, 62. The fuel window at Kansas Speedway is 62 to 67 laps. This will be the 40th Cup race at Kansas. As we know, last year we had the closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history. This track is it's almost perfect for this Gen 7 car. When this track was built opened back in the fall of 2001, we had Kentucky on the schedule, Chicago, Kansas, Charlotte, Vegas, all these, quote, cookie cutter tracks. As we know, as time went on, that particular generation of car didn't race as well at the, quote, cookie cutter tracks. Chicago went away. Kentucky went away. Some tracks lost races. But then we get this Gen 7 car, and this car was built on the platform of road courses and street courses like the V8 supercar. And guess what? Because it was whatever track it's, quote, built for is a track it doesn't run as well on. I mean, we all can say that. It doesn't run as well on the road courses and the short tracks as it does on the intermediates. Short tracks are getting better. Goodyear's bringing a great tire there to improve tire fall off, which some people are against. I don't know why, but you are. If you think about the old Cup car, the Gen 6 car and that technology, so Gen 1 through Gen 6, has that, quote, 1960s, 1970s technology moved on. They were not good on intermediate tracks, which is what they were built for. They weren't built for road courses, which is where they were the best at. They weren't built for super speedways, which was where they were some of the best at. So typically what we've learned in NASCAR history, whatever, quote, track type the car is built for, it runs the worst on. The track type it's not built for, it runs the best on. I mean, I think, honestly, these drafting tracks, whatever we're calling them now, back in my day, they were plate tracks. But the super speedways, if it wasn't for the fuel mileage, the fuel and we have to say fuel because we went less time on pit road, which is the byproduct of the single lug, because pit stops are 8 to 9 seconds. You can't dump 2 cans of fuel in that time. But we have figured out the intermediate tracks. Hey, this guy's pretty good at Kansas. We know that. In the last 3 Kansas races, Chevrolet's won it. Prior to that, it seemed like it was a Toyota track. Toyota won 5 of the last 9. Of the last 12 races 10 of the last 12 races at Kansas, the winner qualified in the top 10. You need to qualify well. And then we're going to find that out on Saturday as well. We're going to see who's in the top 10. 6 of the last 12 winners qualified in the top 5. Typically, we see that at tracks you can't pass. Don't tell me you can't pass at Kansas. You got 3 lanes, progressive banking, and you're going to have at least multiple pit stops a stage. Yeah, there's going to be some passing. Now, in the history of Kansas Speedway, of the previous 39 races, 4 times has the winner qualified outside the top 20. The last 9 Kansas races have between 7 and 11 cautions. So we will probably have about 7 to 8 cautions. Obviously 2 for stages, which I know people hate. And then we should have about 5 to 6 other cautions throughout this race. So there's going to be plenty of different tire strategy. There's going to be plenty of different fuel strategy. Plenty of different 2 tires, 4 tires, no tires, stay out, do this, do that. Now, if you look at the Gen 7 era, so 2022 till now, we've had 22 races on Vegas, Kansas, Texas, and Charlotte. Those 4 tracks are pretty similar. Quote, cookie cutter. Don't get me wrong. I am an avid NASCAR fan. I find enjoyment in every single race on the schedule. We've had 30 races this year. I've been able to find enjoyment in all of them. Not the same enjoyment as some of you. And some of you talk about the past like, I don't know what you're watching because I don't remember watching any of that. But, hey. And I've asked, what's some of the races that I should be looking at here from the past? I'm sorry. I have a lot going on in life. I can't remember, the the 2004 fall race at Kansas was trash. But, that 2006 spring race was dynamite. I don't fucking know. I'd have to go rewatch them. Some of you actually have that ability, and I love it. I would love to know what the best Kansas race was. Obviously, you hate the Gen 7 era, which I understand. That's cool. Prior to the Gen 7 era, what was the best Cup race in Kansas? Give me a year, and I'll go watch it. All right, those 22 races at those 4 tracks, average finish, William Byron 8.9 with 2 wins. Ross Chastain 9.22 with 2 wins. Kyle Larson 11.7 with 4 wins. Christopher Bell 13.36 with a win. Denny Hamlin 13.5 with 2 wins. Joey Logano 13.5 with 3 wins. Alex Bowman 14.15 with a win. Tyler Reddick 14.81 with 2 wins. Kyle Busch 16.0. Chase Elliott 16.04 and a win. That's average finish. The average finish at the 7 Kansas races in that time since 2022. It's the only Gen 7 era stats. Kyle Larson, 6.28 with 2 wins. Alex Bowman, 6.83. Kind of seems like a Hendrick track to me. Denny Hamlin, 8.28 with a win. Seabell, 9.57. Ryan Blaney, 9.71. Ross Chastain, 10.0 with a win. Chase Elliott, 11.42. William Byron, 12.71. Joey Logano, 14.57. And Chris Buescher, 15.28. All 400 cars are in the top 10 in average finish in the 7 races at Kansas. Could be a Hendrick weekend. The last 10 races on the intermediates. This is 2024 and 2025. So just last year and this year only. William Byron, 8.8 average finish. Christopher Bell, 9.7 in a win. Ross Chastain, 9.7 in a win. Remember, Ross Chastain won the 600 as well. One of the, quote, cookie cutter tracks. Chase Elliott, 11.2 in a win. Kyle Larson, 12.33 and 3 wins. Joey Logano, 12.5 and 2 wins. Alex Bowman, 15.8. Chris Buescher, 15.9. Daniel Suarez, 16.5. And Brad Keselowski, 16.7. Now, average finish doesn't tell the full story. To get the full story on what happened on some of these weekends, we're going to look at average running position. So for the 7 Kansas races, average running position, Christopher Bell, 8.03. Kyle Larson, 8.64. Alex Bowman, 9.5. Denny Hamlin, 9.54. Ryan Blaney, 9.76. Ross Chastain, 10.37. Chase Elliott, 11.23. Kyle Busch, 13.21. Joey Logano, 13.32. Now, that Kyle Busch number can be a little inflated because he did do well the first year with RC. The last couple years have been a struggle for him, and we all know that. He knows that. He talks about it. Now, if we look at the last 3 Kansas races, so this is the 2 races in 2024 and the 1 race in 2025. Average running position. Christopher Bell, 5.67. Kind of falls suit. Bell over the 7 was number 1. He's number 2 in average finish. Alex Bowman, 8.91. Could Alex Bowman break his winless streak here? I think he could. Ryan Blaney, 10.26. Kyle Larson, 10.37. Kyle Busch, 10.74. So he does run well at Kansas. So could he sneak up there and get that victory? Chris Buescher, 10.91. Denny Hamlin, 11.40. Chase Elliott, 11.47. Ross Chastain, 12.27. Now, there for a while, 2311 owned this track for 3 races. Because you remember, Kurt Busch won in the spring. Bubba Wallace came back in the fall and won. Both in the 45, mind you. That's when Kurt got hurt and Bubba drove the 45 during the owner playoffs. And then the following year with Tyler Reddick in the 45, they won. And I know a lot of people talk about that Bubba win, and I hear 2 things. It's kind of funny. One, Denny Hamlin let him win because Denny finished second. Denny wasn't even close to him. But, that's cool. We can go with that. That cost Denny a championship that year. But, we can still go with the narrative that he let Bubba win. And then the other one, well, it was Kurt Busch's setup. Of course he won. Hold on. So the 45, yeah, it was Kurt's car, but it was everything from the 23 moved over to, they just rewrapped it with the 45. But it was Kurt's setup. That's why he won. So what you're saying is, you give Bubba Wallace a winning car, he can win in it. Okay. So what you're saying then, if he wins in the 45 with Kurt Busch's setup, they're not setting up the 23 to win. That's what that means. Except in Indianapolis this year. Oh, that's right. NASCAR let him win the Crown Jewel race. I keep forgetting about that little detail. Now, back in the spring, Kyle Larson dominated this race. No way in buts about it. Average running position 1.36. Seabell 3.09. Ryan Blaney 4.87. Chase Elliott 6.37. Alex Bowman 6.63. Ryan Preece 9.38. Chris Buescher 9.67. Joey Logano 10.18. And Josh Berry 11.64. That's average running position from the spring race. NASCAR fantasy lineup. Oh yeah, we can use each driver up to 5 times throughout the playoffs. Yeah, and I'm struggling with that because I'm using a couple of guys way too much. But we're going to keep it going. So, little Hendrick heavy here. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm using all the Hendrick drivers this week. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Elliott are in my starting lineup. And I got Willie B in the garage pick. Yeah, if you don't know NASCAR Fantasy Live, it's free to play, NASCAR.com. You pick your 5 before the race starts, and you have 1 pick in the garage before the end of stage 2. So for my lineup here, Larson, Bell, Bowman, Blaney, Elliott. If, say, Blaney crashes out and Byron's running 3rd, before the end of stage 2, I can move William Byron into my starting lineup and put Blaney in the garage. And that gives me that kind of the extra guy that I can move in to replace somebody that somebody's not running well. Unfortunately, most races I'm behind when I watch it. When I realize somebody's having a problem, it's already into stage 3, and I'm just started stage 2, and yeah, it didn't work very well for me. There's head-to-head picks. My 4 head-to-heads got Bubba Wallace versus Chase Briscoe. I'm taking Bubba Wallace. Ross Chastain versus Tyler Reddick. I'm taking Tyler Reddick. Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano. I'm taking Chase Elliott. And Kyle Larson versus Denny Hamlin. I'm not a Larson fan if you're new to the channel. I don't like picking Larson. I'm a Denny Hamlin fan. But I want the points. I'm picking Kyle Larson. But, yeah, that was hard for me. All right. 30 races down, 6 to go. So, race 2 of the round of 12. I know there's been a lot of talk of playoffs. I know there's been a lot of talk of what to do in the future. But, for the next 6 races, we have playoffs. For the next 6 races, the rules are we have playoffs. So, right now in the playoffs, Ryan Blaney, with that win last week, moves on to the round of 8. We have William Byron plus 47. Kyle Larson plus 41. Christopher Bell plus 29. Denny Hamlin plus 27. Joey Logano plus 24. Chase Elliott plus 14. Chase Briscoe plus 12. Then we have Ross Chastain minus 12. Austin Cindric minus 19. Tyler Reddick minus 23. And Bubba Wallace minus 24. We have Kansas and then the Roval. Bubba is in trouble if it goes onto the Roval because he's not a good road course guy. 10th to 15th, that would be a great day for him. He needs to either win this or get a bunch of fucking points and somebody else have trouble, or he may be cooked, which is when I did my playoff prediction, I had him going out in the round of 12. So that doesn't surprise me. Now, I like the playoffs. I know I'm not in the majority, and that's fine. I don't mind being in the minority with that, but I do like the playoffs. Do I wish there were changes to it? Yeah, I talked about that here before. My idea, if we're going to have playoffs, I like the win it in. I like that. I think it makes it more dramatic, some of the late races. Race 20 through race 26. Especially when there's Daytona in there, road courses in there, we're talking about, hey, can so-and-so win this because they have won on this type of track before and win in it. What I would do if I had the magic pen, if NASCAR Ben Kennedy called me up and said, hey, Robert, help us out with the playoff format. I got you, buddy. So what I would do, win and in through the first 26 races. After race 26, you take the top 15 in points, plus any additional winners. So there could be 18, there could be 20, who knows. This year there was 18. So those 18 are your first round of your playoffs. Top 15 in points, plus the 3 additional winners. You run 3 races, you top 12 move on. You run 3 races, top 8 move on. You run 3 races, top 4 move on. Now, the only reset is when the playoffs start and when you go into your finale. So after Martinsville this year, you get your top 4 move on. Then you do a reset of all your playoff points for the first 35 races get tacked on. Then you run your finale. So, in my scenario, after the top 12 moving on to this round of the playoffs was Blaney, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, and Chase Elliott. That means last week, because there was 18 to start out with, because the top 12 move on, Cindric, Priest, Bowman, Dillon, SVG, and Barry were eliminated. Where I got the, hey, there's a couple of guys not in the playoffs. Right, I did the top 15 in points plus the additional winners. So Priest and Buescher were top 15 in points. So if we use my scenario right now, where there's no reset after Bristol, we just went into New Hampshire and now we're going into Kansas. The top 8 move on after the Roval. Right now, Blaney's plus 77, Briscoe's plus 55. No one and move on. So William Byron's plus 48, Denny Hamlin plus 37, Larson plus 35, Seabell plus 34, Logano plus 31, Tyler Reddick plus 3, Bubba minus 3, Buescher minus 9, Chastain and Elliott both minus 12. That's just using my idea and literally just eliminating the elimination and the reset. That's all I did. These people out there that are the Winston Cup points will look like today. It's not relevant. This isn't relevant, but it's basically the same overall points, but just minus the elimination, minus the resets. Just like I'm going to say now, the non-playoffs. So if we didn't have playoffs, if we just the current point standings, which you can find us on racingreference.com. I mean, it's out there. Everyone looks at it. I have no problem having a conversation on this. If there was no playoffs, this is what it would look like. Don't throw the Winston Cup points and say, no playoffs, this is what you would have. No, because it's a completely different system. This at least has the same basic point system. So right now, if there was no playoffs and we just did straight points, William Byron would be leading. Ryan Blaney's minus 20. Kyle Larson minus 76. So, 2 drivers are within a race of the playoffs. So as of right now, based on that, going into the last race of the year, Blaney has to gain an additional, has to gain 20 points over William Byron. So Blaney would have to win both stages. William and then Byron would have to finish outside the top 11 in both stages for them to tie. And then it's whoever finishes the best in the final stage is your champion. Okay, I can get behind that. We did it for so long. I've been a fan of the sport since 1986 through 2003. That's how we crowned a champion. I'm fine with that. So right now, based on that, Larson is more than a race behind. Seabell's 85 points behind. Denny Hamlin's 92 points behind. Chase Elliott 103. Chase Briscoe 115. That's 2 races. Tyler Reddick 153. That's 3 races, because the most points you can get in a race is 61, and you get 1 point for starting. So the biggest difference is 60. You can win both stages, win the race, get the Xfinity fastest lap, and get 61 points. And if you finish dead last, you get 1. So you have 8 drivers within 2 races. Then you go to Logano 216, Bowman 231, Chris Buescher 235, Bubba Wallace 247. Honestly, this is the points. We have a $2 race right now for the playoffs. That's it, or for the championship. Am I against that? No, I'm fine with that. I just, based on the years of that, and seeing Rusty Wallace win 10 races and not win the championship. We've seen Ryan Blaney win 8 races and not win the championship. We saw Matt Kenseth win 1 race and had 2 top 5s in the final 12 races and be a champion and finishing last at the final race. A lot of those years, from 1998 through 2003, 5 of those 6 years, the championship was won before the end of the year. Now, here's my thing. we talk about ratings a lot. We saw the ratings from last weekend. We can talk about that, big elephant in the room in a minute. But if we're worried about ratings, don't you think if the championship is already done before the finale, people are going to still watch? Many people will still watch that finale. And which it's an honest question, and I would love to debate. I'll talk to somebody, not even debate, just talk to somebody about this. And then I get people going, well, I don't watch the races for the points. I watch the race for the race itself. Okay, so you watch the race, championship's on the line or not. You don't care what's going on in that championship. You watch the race for each race, and yeah, I do. Okay, then what do the playoffs bother you? If you watch the race for the race and you don't care about the points, why do the playoffs bother you? No one can answer me that. So yeah, I'm kind of. I'd like to see that. Now, 2025 is completely different in TV and everything than 2005, 1995. People trying to go, well, the NFL was back then too. What's the difference? Here's the thing. I have about 12 different streaming apps that I have readily available on my Roku or my smart TV. I can watch any show under the sun that I want to watch. If I want to watch a football game, I can watch them all. They're all available. If I want to watch a baseball game, I go to MLB TV. I can watch every single baseball game that's on that day. This past Sunday, we had Memorial for Charlie Kirk. Tens of millions of people tuned in to watch that. I think it was one of the most watched things on TV. All that plays a factor in what the actual TV ratings are. And from my understanding, again, this is my understanding of how these Nielsen ratings work. This is live viewership. This is people sitting on their couch watching TV. I'm sorry, not a lot of people do that anymore. Because when I watch NASCAR, I record it on a cloud DVR unless it's on Prime or HBO Max, and I'm watching it there. If it's on Peacock, I'm watching it there. I'm not recording it. By the way, HBO Max has all the in-car cameras. Those ratings numbers are not released. Here's how I know. Unless Turner only releases the NASCAR ratings and they don't release any other sports ratings like the AEW Dynamite or AEW Collision. So unless they only release NASCAR ratings and don't release any other live sports ratings, then they're not released. So we don't know what people are doing there. So I record it on a cloud DVR. Again, unless it's on Prime or HBO Max or on Peacock. And then, some point in the afternoon, the race starts at 1. Typically by 1:30, 2 o'clock. Have lunch with my wife. I go grocery shopping in the morning. I finally get down and start watching the race. If it's a Saturday night race, I'm watching it the next day. If it's a late Sunday afternoon race, Sunday evening race, more than likely I'm not watching it right then. I'm watching it the next day or either later that night or in the morning. I don't watch it live. I'm in the majority. A lot of people don't. Kenny Wallace has talked about this as well. He doesn't even watch the races. He watches highlights. He goes on social media, looks at 4 or 5 different people, see their reactions, watches some more highlights, and that's how he talks about it. Other people do the same thing. I could sit here and watch in-car camera for 2 different cars, or not as many cars as I want, pretty much, how many screens I have. I can listen to the in-car camera, in-car audio, from home, mind you, and I can listen to MRN or PRN, and I can watch the race through the windshield of the cars and listen to the race on the radio. I am not counted in ratings if I do that. So yes, the ratings were less this race over last year, but again, it's not apples to apples. Last year, the race 1 of the round of 12 was at Kansas. It was also a week later. Different NFL games. What NFL games were on TV last year versus this year? Yes, I said you can watch them all if you have the streaming ability, but some people watch it on digital TV. What was the main game? Go back in the day, back in the 90s and early 2000s, they had the game of the week. Sometimes the game of the week was your favorite team. Sometimes the game of the week was just a pure, back in the day, before the Patriots won, you had the Patriots and the Browns, and they both sucked. or the Browns or the Falcons and the Saints when they sucked. So people are going to watch those games. They're going to watch something else. So ratings in 2025 are different. Do I think getting rid of the playoffs, all of a sudden next year you're going to triple your ratings? No. At the absolutely most, 3 to 5% change, if that. But then somebody's going to complain about stage racing. And then my only issue with NASCAR getting rid of the playoffs next year is just like with Cracker Barrel changing their logo. These people on social media throw a fit, and NASCAR, for instance, gives in or changes it based on that. That sets a precedent that I don't think we need to set. That's the only reason I don't like it. In NASCAR, if all that noise wasn't there, and then all of a sudden when the ratings aren't great for a race like this week, and they come out, Adam Stern reports NASCAR's considering getting rid of the playoffs, you can see it coincides. That's my only issue with it. What's next? Do they get rid of stage racing? Do they get rid of what's next? And that's why I just think that's just a Pandora's box we don't need to open. Because you have a minority of the fans on social media just throwing a fit. They get their way. That's my only issue with it. Other than that, I don't care. The goal is to do videos all winter long, 3 videos a day. NASCAR and pro wrestling from 104 days from the day the season ends till the next season begins. So yeah, that's the goal. 3 videos a day here about NASCAR. I love NASCAR. I love the history of this sport. Anyway, back to the topic. Hollywood Casino, 400 from Kansas. The 4 picks to win. Thank you for listening to my little rant. Just my opinion. That's all that was. My 4 picks. Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman. Again, I'm not a Larson fan. I'm not a Ryan Preece fan. I'm not a Sheldon Creed fan. Those are the 3 drivers I do not like. If you like them, awesome. When I first got into this sport in 1986, I was a Bobby Allison fan. Then I became an Alan Kulwicki fan. Unfortunately, when Alan passed away after winning his championship, I just happened to have a kind of a second driver already that started the year before. This little punk kid in a rainbow-looking car, Jeff Gordon. Yeah, I was a Jeff Gordon fan back in the day. And then when Jeff retired, I've not had one driver. I have a group of drivers. I have about 6 that I like and I watch out for. So, yeah, I had a chance to meet Kyle Larson at Gateway Worldwide Technology. I didn't do it because there's no reason to get a picture with him. I'm not a fan. I got a picture of the drivers I liked. Fist pump Bubba Wallace. Fist pump Denny Hamlin. Anyway, 4 picks: Larson, Bell, Blaney, and Bowman. Hollywood Casino 400 preview. As always, thanks for watching the Robert Sports Show. I'd love to hear some of your comments down below. What you think of what I said. Agree, disagree? We can have a conversation. Comment, we can conversate about it. Not a big deal. Follow me on X at Rob Sports Show. I don't try to argue. I just have things I like, and that's what I talk about. Thanks for watching Rob Sports Show. Have a spiffy night.